Hello, this is Vlad and a new story from my channel, Amazing Stories. Well, I'll just throw it away, Tamara declared, decisively dragging her most treasured possessions to the trash. The first 2 bags of souvenirs went mercilessly into the bin. Well, she'd never liked them. All those magnets, decorative mugs, figurines. Toma returned home and looked at the 5 huge bags. It was a shame to throw them away. They contained men's suits, shirts, jeans, sweaters. They weren't just good, designer items, but Tamara didn't need them. Pyotr had suffered enough and passed away 3 months ago. And only now had she decided to get rid of his things. Well, she could deal with the clothes later, but now it was time to get rid of the crutches. Tamara picked up the elbow crutches and remembered how she'd bought them. This pair for jeans, and this one for a business suit. She could have left them, but why invite trouble into the house? Toma strode with precision, but as she neared the trash can, her legs seemed to give out. Her gait became shuffling. She had literally 5 meters to go when suddenly Tamara froze in her tracks. Quote, "If I throw them out now, my life will change for the better," she said out loud for some reason. "Please don't throw them out," a small voice came from below. "What?" Tamara turned around and saw a girl of about 8. "Who are you to tell me what to do?" Tamara asked sternly, flashing her glasses and shaking her curls. "I'm not telling you, I'm sorry," the girl blushed. She simply asked, "Don't throw them away, give them to me." And what do you need them for? Are you going to sell them or something? Quote. Tamara laughed. And then, looking the little girl in the eyes, she threw the crutches into the container. "If you need them so badly, get them from the trash." And some strange anger seized her. So this little brat was going to sell her things. Yes, if she hadn't been busy, Tamara would have sold everything herself. Turning the corner, she saw the girl actually climb into the container. She stood on a rickety stool, also thrown out by someone, somehow reached for one crutch, and then, with its help, got the rest. People are so greedy for other people's property, Toma shook her head. They don't disdain anything at all. She had almost reached her house. It was time to get ready for the office, and suddenly she stopped dead in her tracks. Her facial expression changed from disgust to surprise. Toma turned sharply and rushed towards where she had just seen the girl. The same girl, trying to hold 4 crutches in her hands, was somehow dragging herself towards an ordinary, shabby 5-story building. "Hey, stop!" Tamara shouted and immediately cursed under her breath. "She screams like a market vendor. I'm a girl." She turned around, and the crutches fell to the asphalt. You. Tamara nodded and quickened her pace. "Have you changed your mind about throwing them away?" The little girl asked in fear when Tamara approached. "No, I haven't changed my mind, but tell me, just don't lie. Why do you need crutches?" "I wasn't going to lie. Dad teaches you to always tell the truth." "Well, go ahead and tell him. It's for him. Dad can't walk." Quote. The girl looked down, but Tamara managed to notice a large tear on the child's fluffy eyelashes. "Why can't he?" Tamara reached out and took the girl by the chin so that she could look straight into his eyes. "He got sick. The doctor said there was still a chance, but we could miss it." "How come?" "Well, we could have an operation, and then Dad would walk. He's already had 3. Free, but this one requires a fee." "So what, you can't pay?" Tom asked with disgust. "No, we spent everything on treatment, on food. Dad doesn't work now." "And doesn't Mom want to work?" We don't have a mom, for a year now. The girl looked down again. Tamara, who had been holding her hand all this time, involuntarily pressed her hands to her heart. Quote, "Can I go?" the little girl asked. "Go." "No, wait, hold on." And Tamara handed over a large bill. "Tell me where you live. I'll try to help you." Quote. Toma's life was like a fairy tale, or rather a collection of fairy tales. Something wonderful was always happening to her. She lost her mother early, and her father, a businessman, married a widow with 2 daughters. No one forced Tamara to sleep in the living room. She even became close with one of her sisters, Masha. But her stepmother disliked her. She especially backed away when her father married her off to Pyotr and transferred one of his companies to his daughter. Petya was a real bluebeard, jealous, domineering, and tyrant, but he treated Tamara well. He was flattered that such a beautiful and young woman looked at him tenderly. And Toma truly liked Pyotr. Only she was able to discern behind the tyranny the caution, the calculation, and, oddly enough, the gentle nature. Like a monster from a frail flower, Tamara tamed Pyotr, and only with her was he gentle and relaxed. True, they didn't have children. "Tomka, what are you saying? I already have 3 children." And believe me, after their birth, all 3 wives changed for the worse. I don't want you to become like that. Sing, but the clock is ticking. I want both a daughter and a son. Tamara hugged him around the neck. Let's do this. When I'm gone, then you'll have one, Pyotr declared and laughed. He was 12 years older, but looked her age. Stylish, strong, fit, and well-groomed. In short, never, Tamara summed up. Listen, don't nag. Better check the documents for your farm. I think your financial manager is acting up. Pyotr didn't interfere with her business, but he sometimes gave valuable advice. And Toma herself was a woman. She was a go-getter, had a great understanding of the market and the economic situation. Thank you, Petya. You know, yesterday I also felt like something was wrong. Tamara wasn't lying. The financial director had been acting strange lately, staying late, constantly talking on the phone, and would pop off in the middle of the day on urgent business. Tom, I took the liberty of assigning him my little man. He says he needs a few more days. You just take a closer look, okay? Have a good drink. And Tamara took a closer look. Over the weekend, she personally sifted through a mountain of documents, and then clutched her head. The man she trusted was trying to outsmart her. Her empire, which her father had started building, was about to collapse. No, Tom wasn't afraid of poverty. She could easily survive even in a small house in the countryside without amenities. But she couldn't bear the fact of a fall and a ruined reputation. When her husband's little man looked at the documents, he nodded, as if to say, yes, something fishy was going on, but Finder caught on just in time and promised to put the swindler under pressure. First, talk to him in person, and then take him to the police. But things went awry. The CFO was cunning, cautious, and seemed to sense the tension in the air when he walked into the office. Tamara nodded hello to him and smiled, as usual. But what are you doing, idiot? The secretary screamed. Then Finder suddenly turned around, pushed her, and spilled hot tea on her. Stay out of the way, you idiot, he yelled. Stay still. The security guard shouted and tried to block his way. The guard didn't understand what was happening. It was just his instinct. They're running away, catch up, He managed to detain the financial director for no more than a few seconds. Tama ran up to him, grabbed him by the sleeve, or rather, almost grabbed him, and the man, slipping out of her hands, rushed to the car in the parking lot. Stop him. Tamara, in heels, of course, couldn't catch him even if she wanted to. I'll catch up. Her man appeared as if from nowhere and chased after the financier. Petya, he's trying to escape. Tamara rushed to her husband. It was him that her man had just brought. So what are you standing there for? Let's run. Pyotr and his assistant literally jumped into the car, hit the gas, and chased after the financial director. He began weaving down the street in his bright red car. Toma was barely keeping up with the two cars, and then there was the impact. The financier made a sudden maneuver, and first Peter's car crashed into his, then Tamara's. Well, Tomka, you'll soon get married and have your own brats, her husband teased sadly. Quote, silly, why would I need them without you? Toma couldn't hide her tears. The doctors didn't give any chance that Pyotr would be able to walk at all. But in 6 months he learned to move around on crutches. At first she was scared, especially when she saw those two cars, a pile of iron from which they had pulled out the only living Pyotr. Alive, that is, breathing and conscious. The rest, as Tamara was told, were taken straight to the morgue. No, she didn't lose her business, although she still managed to cause damage to her assets and financial reputation. So now Tamara was torn between the hospital, the company, and her home. Only this race kept her from going crazy. Petya, I'll make you get back on your feet. Leave me alone, Tom. I've already lived my life. You know what? You're a coward. We have a house at a ski resort booked for the winter. Do you want me to vacation there alone? Oh, I don't think I'll see the winter. Despite the fact that Petya had a nurse and a housekeeper worked in the house, Tamara felt like a squeezed lemon. But by winter, she finally got her husband moving. So they even went to a ski resort. Of course, Petya didn't ski, but he greedily breathed in the mountain air, sometimes soft, sometimes prickly, and enjoyed the winter sun. Tamara even thought they'd overcome everything. But as soon as they returned home, Pyotr really weakened. His heart could barely cope with even the slightest strain. But you didn't think that I, like Koshe the Deathless, would live forever. I thought Tamara was clinging to him. My silly girl. Her husband stroked her head, and Toma felt not like a business shark, but a small, weak woman who was truly married. Pyotr had been in the hospital for a week already, and for the first time, Toma felt afraid for him. For the first time, the understanding came that she could lose the one closest to her forever. And a dear person. At the funeral, Tamara didn't shed a tear. She was petrified, as if she had looked into the eyes of the Gorgon Medusa. For 3 months, Tamara hardly left the house. A close friend of her husband's, his confidant, was temporarily in charge of the farm affairs. Tamara was either sleeping or mindlessly pacing their large apartment. And wherever she looked, everything reminded her of Petya. I can't let you go. I'm sorry. I even still cook breakfast for 2. On another occasion, she talked to the table where her husband used to sit. Gradually, the habit of putting 2 place settings on the table faded away. But, getting ready to watch a movie, Tamara always turned her head to the right, to where he used to sit. Twice a week they had movie nights and always chose a movie together. Tomka, what's wrong, like a mummy? Her stepsister came to visit. Masha, leave me alone. Ah, Tamara weakly tried to wave it off. Oh, no, little sister, you still don't alien. Maria looked closely at her sister. Okay, put on something that doesn't look like a robe. Let's go for a walk. Toma, like a robot, put on a dress. Dark, wrinkled, good, at least it was clean. She mechanically combed her hair, put on her shoes and, like a calf on a string, trudged after Masha. And she chattered cheerfully, like, look at the sun, what a sky, what weather. We're going to the salon now. You definitely need to polish yourself. Oh, I don't care, Tamara answered indifferently. And I do. Masha started dragging her along every day. Sometimes to various events, sometimes to the spa, sometimes to the pool. She made her run in the mornings on the school stadium. Tamara categorically refused to go to the gym. Well, that's it, Tomka, it's time to part with the past. One day Masha said, how is this possible? Now you and I will collect all the things and sort them. Let's throw some things out, put some in the box, leave some in their places. Ready? Why? Because you live like in the crypt of St. Peter. Dead things drain your strength. Let's clear some space, and there will be room for something good in your life. Masha let her choose the things she was ready to throw out. Then she told her to take them to the dumpster. Go, you have to throw this out with your own hands. Get rid of the junk already, come on. Toma took her crutches and walked to the dumpsters, and the girl who picked up the crutches from the dumpster had a beautiful name, Anyuta. A little over a year ago, her mother was diagnosed with cancer. She died within a month. Mikhail, Anya's father, couldn't come to terms with it for a long time. He and his future wife met in kindergarten and couldn't imagine life without each other. And so, for the first time in a long time, he seemed to be alone and, for the first time in his life, got drunk in some bar. It turned out that the alcohol was making his fists itch. He saw a man harassing a girl, reprimanded him first verbally, then with his fists, but then he was taken away in an ambulance. Mikhail often saw incredibly beautiful women passing through the open door of the ward. Light in flowing dresses, she would rush toward the VIP ward. They said her husband was there. He'd been injured in a car accident. Then Mikhail saw the stranger's eyes beam with happiness when her husband, who was not a minor, started walking with crutches. Zahn himself took too long to recover. He could barely move his toes. Quote, Dad, don't worry, you'll walk. Anyuta and her grandmother visited him every day. Ouch! The doctors had already made it clear that they had done everything they could for free, and even more. Quote, It's okay, we'll think of something else, Anya stroked her father's hand. But Mikhail was discharged and sent home as he was. Their savings ran out quickly. Now they barely had enough for the most basic food and necessities. Friends gave them some crutches, but they turned out to be very uncomfortable. Of course, for lack of anything better, he had to walk with them, and Mikhail even managed to develop calluses in his armpits and palms. And then Anyuta brought back 2 pairs of crutches from somewhere. Almost new, different models, different colors, and incredibly comfortable. Dad, my aunt wanted to throw them away, but I asked, and she gave them to me. And then Anyuta handed over a bill. Money? Why did she give it to you? Did she ask you to do something? For the first time, Mikhail was overcome with panic. Warmed by his own grief, he forgot that his daughter was now even more vulnerable than he was. I know her. She was in the hospital. Which hospital? But when you were in the hospital, she came to see her husband. I remember her. She had the same perfume as my mother. And I remember her too. And Mikhail really remembered how much pain that scent brought. Then she said she would come to visit us. To us? Why? I don't know. She said she wanted to help. The next day, Tama was spinning in front of the mirror, not knowing what to wear, and settled on a regular t-shirt and jeans. Then she went to the store, bought fruit and all sorts of goodies. And so she stood in front of the door where Anechka and her dad lived. Tamara, thank you very much for the crutches, for the groceries, but all this is not for nothing. Mikhail began a difficult conversation. No, what are you saying, exactly for nothing? Tamara was even scared by what this man said. Well, you see. Mikhail waved his hand around himself. There is nothing to take from us. The apartment is small, it will not be possible to sell it. The child is registered here. So if you need anything from us, I'm sorry. Mikhail, calm down. I don't need anything from you. I need it. I have everything. I can help you, if you don't mind. How so? Anechka said you need an operation. That's true. The doctors say I'll be able to walk if I have it. Well, that means work and go back to how we lived before. Let me pay for the operation. Are you crazy? No, I'm serious, you understand? My husband passed away 3 months ago. The doctors didn't give him a chance, but he held on like a hero until the very end. For some reason, his heart didn't heal, but they're giving you a chance. And I want you to take advantage of it. Well, at least for my husband's sake. Interesting thoughts. But I'll be in your debt and I'll probably never be able to pay you back. You can, Toma smiled. If you're just happy. And Anechka too. Tamara did pay for his treatment. Mikhail touched some strings of her soul. With his optimism and desire to live, he brought her back to life. While they were collecting documents, while they flew together to the clinic, while they were going through rehabilitation. In short, Tamara became not just a savior angel, but also his wife. Toma, you brought me back to life. I didn't even think I could be happy again. No, it was you and Anyutka who reminded me that you need to live, no matter what. I still can't believe that some crutches helped us find happiness. By the way, do you remember that you have a doctor's appointment today? Of course. Toma stroked her round belly. And do you remember that you have a job interview today? Of course. I told you, your business is your business, and I'm a man and I will provide for our family. Well, and then, maybe we'll think of something together. By the way, Mish, what would you like to name the baby? Tamara looked closely at her husband, but he only smiled. Let everything take its course. If you like the story, I hope you support me with a thumbs up button. All the best, M.